Welcome back to Baker's Barbecue. I'm Mike, your guide to all things barbecue. Have you been looking for a simple pulled pork recipe? Then you come to the right place. Today, we're going to be doing a salt and pepper Texas style pork butt that's going to yield delicious pulled pork. So stick around, don't go anywhere. Let's get to smoking. In today's recipe, we're going to keep it very simple. The pork is going to be the star, and all you really need is just some coarse sea salt and some 16 mesh coarse black pepper. By keeping it simple, it allows us to bring out the rich, natural flavors in the pork and create a delicious bark that can only be created through low and slow smoking at a temperature range of around 250 to 275. For today's recipe, we have a pork butt. We've got approximately an 8-pound pork butt. I recommend getting somewhere between an 8 and 10-pound butt. We've also got some coarse sea salt, and like I said, some 16 mesh black pepper. When it comes to trimming pork butts, I keep it very simple. This has a good fat cap on it. A lot of times pork butts will have a pretty thick one. This one does as well. So I do like to take off a little bit of that fat cap. I like to trim it down some. Otherwise, you can end up with just a big layer. Sometimes I'll actually even score it into the score. I've done that before as well. But I'm going to take off some of this fat cap. Just take it around. You want to leave some on. You don't want to take all of it off, obviously. Just kind of clean it up a little bit. And I'm saving the pork fat over here. You can always use that to render down into some pork tallow, kind of like you would do beef tallow. That actually looks pretty good right there. Now on the pork butt, I really don't do a whole lot more to it. The other side, I don't even worry about doing anything to that side. But one of the things I will say, let's talk about the meat for a second. What you do want is to make sure that you've got good marbling throughout the meat. If you don't have good marbling, sometimes it's hard for it to render down. But what you want is for this good marbling to render down through that cooking process and to continue to maintain juices internally within the pork fat. Let it break those collagens down and make it into just delicious pork that just almost melts in your mouth. So the next step is going to be to get seasoning on this. So I'm going to be cooking fat cap up. So the first thing I'm going to do is season the non-fat cap side. I'm just going to put a little bit of mustard on here, not a whole lot, but this mustard acts as a binder. You're not going to be able to taste. I know some people say you can. I've heard people, but I've never tasted it. I put it on. I don't go real thick. I do put it on rather thin, but I've never tasted it whatsoever. And first thing I'm going to do is put the black pepper. If you put the salt on first, a lot of times it's hard to get the black pepper to actually stick. And I like to be able to get a good coat of black pepper on there. If you mix them together, what you'll find is the black pepper will tend to settle because it's heavier, more dense than the salt. And as it does that, it makes it very hard to get it to stick the way you want it to. So just go around the edges like that. Just like that right there. Just keep working your way around. You can definitely go heavy. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to put on our kosher salt. And I mean, this salt and pepper recipe on pork, Texas style, is delicious. And it's delicious when you do this the exact same way on any other kind of pork. Don't forget to get it up on its edges. Get all that real good as well. Sometimes it'd be tricky because these things get a little bit slick. And then I'm going to flip it over because I'm going to be doing, like I said earlier, the fat cap is going to be up. So I'll go back in here, put just a little bit of mustard. The fat cap side will probably be the hardest side to get the stuff to adhere to. So it's important you have some kind of binder on that side. And I'm going to be cooking fat cap up because tomorrow we're going to be cooking this in the Weber kettle, Master Touch. So I'm actually doing this seasoning here the day before. I'm going to let it set overnight in the refrigerator, and then tomorrow morning we'll get this on. We got the pork butt all seasoned, good generous coat of kosher salt, black pepper, using a little bit of yellow mustard as a binder. And what I'm going to be doing is wrapping this up in a little bit of saran wrap, covering it up with a little bit of foil, putting it back in the fridge, and we're going to let it sit there overnight. The longer you can allow this to sit in the salt and pepper brine, the more deeply those flavors can penetrate into the pork. So you want to do it at least 3 or 4 or 5 hours, but if you can go overnight, that's even better. How it looks when I get it all wrapped up in saran wrap. Just put it down there. And I didn't use small saran wrap. I went to Sam's and bought some commercial size saran wrap in a huge box. It has about 3,000 feet in it, and it's heavy, and you can pull it out, and you can basically roll this up in that. Tomorrow morning, I'll come out, and I'll get the smoker going. I'll bring you guys back with me. We'll get this on the smoker, and we'll go through the smoking process. It's about 5 o'clock in the morning. We got the smoker fired up. I've got the smoker set up today for indirect zone cooking. I'm going to have the charcoal in the front of the smoker here, and I got a water pan on the back that I'll have the Boston butt sitting up over. I'll show you that here in just a second. Today we're going to be using Hickory, which gives a real good robust flavor, which matches out and pairs perfectly with just a salt and pepper pork butt. And we're going to let it go low and slow. Remember, that's the key. Low and slow, about 250, 275. It'll float back and forth in that range. That'll create that rich pork natural flavor with the salt and the pepper, along with creating that good crispy bark we all want, everybody loves, that can only be created through that low and slow smoking process. So let me bring you over here, and I'm going to show you how I got the smoker set up, and then we'll go from there. All right, as you can see today, we got the charcoal set up here along this side. That's where the fire's getting started. We're going to have the Boston butt be sitting right here. Underneath this is a pan that I've got some water in. And then, of course, I'll have my ambient probe set up like that. And so we'll have it all sitting right there in the center, and this will just slowly cook throughout the day. All right, so we got our smoker up to temperature. We got it about 250. So what we're going to do today, we're going to be using the Texas Crunch approach. And what that basically boils down to is at about the 6-hour mark, or once the pork butt reaches about 170, 180, I like to gauge it more off how the bark is forming. But I want to get on up there in internal temp, probably 170, 180. At that point, then we're going to go ahead and wrap it in aluminum foil and place it back in, put a probe in it, and then we'll bring it up to about 195 to 205 internal. But the most important part will be making sure that in that range internally, that it's probing tender, where it's extremely tender, almost like going in with your thermometer probe, and it feels almost like you're going into a stick of butter at room temperature. So let's come on over here and let's get this thing in the smoker. All right, we're just going to take it up like this. I like to go ahead and put the bone side, which is right here. I like to go ahead and have it facing the fire. It allows that bone to go ahead and heat up throughout the cooking process and helps them with the internal temperature as we go through the cooking process. So now we're just going to put the lid back on, making sure we watch our temperature throughout this cooking process. Once again, try to maintain that temperature range in the 250, 265, 275, somewhere in that range. It may float in and out of that range, but don't stress if it does. I mean, it's a dense piece of meat, and it takes a lot to mess something like this up. So just go with it. Enjoy your day as you're cooking it, and just enjoy the process. All right, so we've reached the 6-hour mark. I'm not sure what the internal temperature is. I've not checked it. I'm fixed to open it up, and I'm going to look and see how the bark is doing. If the bark is doing really well, I'm not even going to worry about the internal temperature. I'm going to go ahead and do what's called the Texas Crunch. You guys have seen me do this in almost every video, and that is basically wrapping up whatever I'm smoking in aluminum foil to speed the process up and to also allow the juices and everything to stay intact. Now, a lot of times what I like to do is maybe about the last 30 minutes of the cooking process is go ahead and open up the foil, not all the way open, maybe just open it up, let some of the steam out inside the smoker, let it go maybe another 20 or 30 minutes to help kind of reset up that bark so that you can maintain that good crunchy bark that everybody loves. So let's come in here and we're going to take a look at it, see how it looks. If it looks good, if the bark is good, we're going to go ahead and we're going to wrap it. Oh, that is looking really good. Look at that. That right there, all that is the fat cap. You can see how it's rendered down. Look at that. You can just see it move. What that boils down to is the fat is good and rendered. See how it has a little bit of a jiggle? It's good and rendered, so it's definitely ready to go ahead and get into the Texas Crunch and get it wrapped up. I'm not going to worry about spritzing it. There's already tons of juice in here. So all we're going to do is just get it over here. Look at that right there. Look at that. We're just going to get it over here and get it wrapped. All right, the wrapping process is going to be extremely simple. Ooh, that sucker is hot. Just place it right in the center. Keep the fat side up just like we had it. There. Going to come up and over. I'm going to double wrap this today while it's in the Texas Crunch. And make sure that you use heavy duty aluminum foil. The last thing you want is you do not want it to puncture hose. If you get hose punctured in it, then the juices will come out and it will cause your pork to dry up on you. And you definitely don't want that. And then from there, we're just going to simply put our probe back in. All right, the internal temperature's only reading at about 163. So we've got a good ways to go. So we're probably looking at another 4 hours, I would estimate. From there, then we'll take it off, let it rest, and we'll pull it, and we'll see how it looks. It's going to be tender, juicy, Texas-style pulled pork. So stick with me. There's the finished product sitting down there in its juices. Look at that butt. That looks absolutely beautiful. Salt and pepper bark on there. I've got it resting right now. It is still at 185 degrees internal. It's actually been sitting out here on the counter now for about an hour. I'm just now opening the foil back up, but it looks really good. So what we're going to do here is we're going to go ahead and get it pulled into some pulled Texas style salt and pepper pork. Well, after about 9 hours of low and slow smoking over Hickory, our pulled pork Boston butt is done. I've had it sitting out here on the counter resting probably about an hour or so. I just opened it up like I showed you just a second ago when we zoomed in. I've got a probe in it. It's still sitting at about 183 degrees internal. But what we're going to be doing here shortly is we're going to be pulling it and doing pulled pork and see how it turns out. So hopefully it'll be just like we think, delicious pulled pork, juicy and tender with that good salt and pepper Texas kick to it. So here comes the moment of truth. All right, going in for that first pull. Oh man, check that out. Look at that. Big chunk pulled pork. Look at it, it pulls apart. Juicy, tender. Now I do like to go ahead and pull any fat out of it. That's why I got this tin sitting here. But look at this. Pulled pork, deliciousness. See that bark right there? Wow, just falling apart. Tell you what, look at that little bark. You see that? Hopefully you can. Anyway, I'm going to take a bite of this. Man, the simplicity of the salt and the pepper in the pork, get that pork fat mixed in there with it, is absolutely delicious. Matter of fact, I mean, I got my own barbecue rub out, as you guys know, and I love that rub. It's my favorite. But I can tell you, if you're just wanting to do salt and pepper, you can still cook some darn good barbecue without having to even do anything else but just use this process. You get nice pulled pork just like that right there. Take another little bite of that. Look at that. I hate to eat this stuff in front of you, but I got to tell you, I got to do it. Look at it, nice and juicy. Matter of fact, I'm going to cut that about half. That's a lot there. Oh man, this is absolutely delicious. I mean, it's hard to beat. I mean, just basic salt and pepper in your pork like this turns out to be absolutely delicious. So I would definitely recommend, this is a recipe you definitely want to try. If you want to press all your friends, look at that bark, man. Look at, hopefully my black gloves aren't. Can you see that? If you want to press all your friends, I'm going to sit this side. I know my wife want to try that. And be the neighborhood pit master. Try this little process here. Make sure you let it render down good. Don't rush it. And I guarantee you, you're going to have some happy folks. So if you found value in today's video and you enjoyed it, please hit that like button and also hit that subscribe button if you haven't done so in the past. And get out there, get those smokers fired up, make some delicious barbecue that everybody in your neighborhood is going to love. So until the next time I see you, happy smoking.